This is Richard back at you. Today we got a 4L80E that is in a LS swap 90 model Chevy pickup. They put a 6.0 with a 4L80 in it. They did it. Looks like a new tranny, but it's a junkyard unit. It does not have no fourth. It doesn't have any codes in the computer or anything like that to show why it doesn't have fourth or any type of electronic issues going on. So he brought it all the way down to Houston to us to get it fixed right. So let's get this thing apart and see what we got going on.
Looks like they stabbed a fresh converter in it.
Yep. Does look like a new converter. Actually a brand new converter.
Yeah.
No really markings, just a little bit of stainage on the hub there. Feels really good still.
It don't even look like a pump, barely.
Yeah, it don't look like already needs. Now you can tell the paint job didn't get any further than the outside. So it definitely was a used unit, probably car washed or something like that. It does have a new O-ring for the lockup, and it does look like it might have a new front seal.
It does look like that.
Yes, sir. I have enough here. Now we have our input and output speed sensors. Were both these plugged in, Trent, on this swap?
Yes, they were.
Okay, they were. Okay. Now I'm not sure. Did he use the LS computer and stuff like that? How did he do all that?
Yes, he used the LS computer to run the transmission, and then he has a standalone MSD box to run the motor for carburetor.
Oh, okay, so it is carbureted.
Yes, sir.
So the sensors do look pretty good shape. Not so much new, but
fluid poured out of our main connector, by the way.
Oh yes, yes. I was going to get to that to tell him that, son. Don't be jumping on my stuff here. But yeah, we had a lot of fluid coming out of here. Didn't have any codes for anything like that. None of the pins are damaged or anything like that, but we did have a lot of fluid coming out of the connector.
Yes, sir.
Now it is the latest version. Got the rear lube on it, rear cooler on it. It does have the extension on it like it needs to have. Now the one in the front here won't have nothing, it'll just be the threads. Now here's a seal right here that keeps the fluid from getting into the back of the yoke and leaking out the back of the yoke. So let me just pull these off, and there's an O-ring in here, but you can see this O-ring right there.
Yes, sir.
So if you have an yoke leaking out the back or something, that's possibly the cause.
Sounds like your first time using
Yep,
one of those.
Now we got a lot of darkness here. A little bit of stuff on the magnet. Quite a bit of material here. We don't know if that's from fourth gear, clutches, or something like that, but we'll get in here a little bit farther and see what we find. Now it does have a late model filter. If you look here, it's got the dimples on it. The early style did not have the dimples. So you got to be careful. You put an early or a late on an early on a late. You don't want to get them mixed up. Now this is your EPC solenoid here, and this is your PWM solenoid here. You have your pillow switch. You have your temp sensor. And then you have your two solenoids, your A and B solenoids here. This tube right here is a lube tube that lubricates your rear case bushing and your tail housing bushing. If you come over here and look, Trent, let's go over here and show them the seal right here. When you get in there and see this seal right here has a little tiny weep hole in it that sprays fluid down this hole right here, and then comes in here, right through here, and lubricates your bushing. Now 4L80E is possibly one of the only trannies that has a pressurized tail housing bushing.
Awesome.
Pretty rare. So.
Can't see that weep.
Yeah, I don't have a kit to show you, but there's a little tiny.
If
it's a two-wheel drive, it has a weep hole in here. If it's a four-wheel drive, it has a freeze plug. So you got to be careful if you ever swap these out. I had a video out there I showed you guys on these plugs right here.
Yeah, I'll see that.
Because we had one come in that's two-wheel drive, and they had a plug in here, and it'll melt the rear bushing out of the tail housing. So you have to put the right seal in there.
Probably just got y'all busy as can be. But stop the video for a second. Shake your heads. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Turn the camera on them so I don't have to get them too dizzy.
Now these bolts here are 8mm bolts, and they are different. So you want to make sure you put them in the right spot. Your pillow switch here. I mean, these do click when you push on them. They're like little switches.
Yeah,
you can feel them clicking. Feel them. So and then you have your lube tube right here. Now this tranny here is capable of really high line pressures and stuff. So we put a kit in here to stop any type of erratic pressure rises and stuff like that. So if you ever build one of these, you definitely want to put some type of kit in there that'll prevent that. All these bolts here are the same size. Every one of them. The only one that's going to be changed is the ones on your pillow switch. Back in the case here. Now this tranny has been built before. This is not an your standard GM valve body gasket, so that tells me there that it has been into before by somebody. Now we're going to get in here and look at these accumulator pistons and springs. Now you do have two links here if you look at that. Just remember how they go. Always remember the short to the left, long to the right. But you want to look at that. Blow these out of here.
Cannon.
You manually want to look for these for cracks or anything like that. Clean them up really good. Look for any cracks. The aluminum ones I do sell, but these plastic ones are really good too. So we don't see very many failures unless the tranny gets so hard that it just melts them out. Mainly look for check ball wear. These are really bad about check ball wear too, just like your 4L60Es. So. Now anytime we rebuild these trannies back, we go with a Sonex TCC valve in the valve body. These have excessive wear issues with the PWM valve. In other words, you pull this solenoid out right here and you pull this pin out, and right here there's a valve and a spring. You'll be changing the spring, and the new valve comes with a Teflon ring around it that expands and seals the valve against the bore of the valve body. So it's a really good upgrade. They give you 2 different springs for firmness for towing, or your standard firmness for your stock vehicles. So that is a must. We do every one of them, no matter how you look at it. And you got your engine brake band servo here. Not much to explain. I've had these break off before. You just want to look at it really good.
A lot of buildup in that one.
Yeah, this thing's pretty nasty. I'll blow in here. This is your overdrive clutch right here. This is your overdrive apply bolt hole. This bolt's hollow, so when you basically push on it, you can feel the clutch apply. Sounds like it's got a lot of play in there. So normally it's just click, 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 real simple, but that there seems like it's got a lot of play. Now you get down here too. You got your direct clutch and your intermediate clutch through here, so you can push on these. You can hear those clutches apply. So when we get the units built, we go back and air check everything. Because if we need to change our shifts or anything like that, we know we'll never have to take the unit out. Everything will be done on the outside if I don't like the way something works. So, most critical thing on these, all these check balls go in here. But right here, it looks like a check ball goes. Let me blow this out right here. If you notice, it looks like a check ball goes right there. Do not put a check ball there. I'm going to wipe my hands off for just 1 second. Now, what we do is we have these ATS books like this. These books are very old. I've had them for a long time. I got multiple ones of them. They give you every check ball location in every training made. If you go in here and you look, it says here all the Chrysler transmissions. Here your Ford transmissions, your Junior Motors, stuff like that. So I want to see what a 4L60E check ball looks like, page 22. I go over here to page 22, and it'll show me where my check ball's going to 4L60E. Hey, these are really good books. Tells you
top and bottom.
Yeah, top, bottom on every tranny, from your 604 Chryslers, your AXODs, every one of them.
Nice.
So, pretty cool little book. If you can never find them out there, grab one. Now, we go to a lot of transmission seminars and stuff, so we buy up a lot of that stuff. Torque socket there. And then you get a 3/8 12 point that goes down in here. Now the 4L80E bolt is twice as long as the 400. You don't want to interchange them. 400 is only about half that size. So. This is your reverse servo right here. Applies your reverse band. Cushion spring. This thing's really dirty. Don't see many issues here with these. Don't see much breakage or anything like that.
That fine black.
Yeah, it's nasty. You think it smells worse than it smells, but anytime you do any work here on your valve body, always take a flat file and file it. Anytime you roll it around on the table or anything like that, I have a flat file here. I'll sit here and I'll just come in here like this. See, I can feel a spot right there that I could feel. That's nice and smooth. Come over here, I feel another spot right there. Just come in here and take all that stuff off. That way you know it's perfectly flat when you go and put your other stuff, your valve body gaskets and valve body back on. So, a lot of our trans brake valve bodies and stuff don't have gaskets. Looks like that case is cracked out there.
No,
No.
It's actually just where pinched together
Hit it?
from the molding.
Yeah.
Hey, it looked like a crack there for a second.
Did for a
folks.
second.
Good eye, good eye.
Check boss. You know, even on these, you can see how the oil comes out from around these bolts. It's not so much on the top, it's down here where all the pressure ports are, where we get oil coming out of bolts. That's why I take and double seal all my bolts. Look how much oil's around that bolt. If that seal starts failing, it's going to leak out that bolt. So, now your overhaul kit would come with two different style rings right here. You can put a hard plastic, or you can go back with a Now when you go back with this version here, it's a solid ring. We stretch them out and then we shrink them back. So the overhaul kit would come with both versions. So you can, it's kind of like a builder discretion on what he wants to use. I will use these here, not in a race car application, but in a stock application. If I get it off here, I'll show you. I see this is a hard plastic, kind of locks in there. This is a Teflon, this is a stretch. But these work really good, so. I'll show you how you can identify a rear loop pump where the cooler line's in the back compared to one that's in the front. And you see this little spot right here? That little line, that's how you can identify a rear lube and a non-rear lube. If it doesn't have that, then it loops from the front. The cooler lines are side by side. If it has a cooler line in the rear, it takes this style pump. So mainly want to look for wear on your suction and your filter side. Pump gears. These things don't have much pump issues. They're so massive, they'll make 350 pounds of pressure. The only problem this tranny has is pressure issues, not pump issues. So, the pump looks brand new, actually like it's never been used. Put some new gears in there, the pump will be nice, new bushings, stuff.
Sweet.
Now also, if you don't put a shift kit in this, your bleed back hole on this pump right here needs to be drilled out to about a 5/16. So, to relieve the pump pressure off the seal, so that is a must right there. Now remember this tranny had no fourth gear. Yeah. Well, the fourth gear clutches are burnt plumb up in this thing. There's just totally nothing left to the clutch.
Oh wow.
So that's why we don't have no fourth gear. But my support right there should just pull out by hand, and I don't know why. So I don't know if it got so hot it melted it in there or what. We're going to have to maybe do some tugging to try to get that out of there somehow. Let me grab my... See if I can grab that thing. Oh my Did it?
Yeah, but this side didn't move. Yeah.
Yeah, but this should just fall out.
Right.
Oh, what the heck is going on? Where are we at here? Wow. And I don't want to damage it. Trying to get that support out. Find another hammer. Well, normally these just pull out real easy.
Yeah.
And of course this one here, did it move?
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to try to grab the bottom of it. Oh.
It's so solid.
It's coming. Don't try this now.
Man,
Nuts.
this is a new one for me.
There you go. And I mean, I'm pulling on it too.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just trying to see
That's
where
why
I'm
I
at
pulled
down
the
here.
drain across it.
Because I don't want to get into the case.
Right. There you go. Oh, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Might be able to grab these. There you go.
Wow.
That is insane. Well, a new one, guys. That should slide out.
You can see here where it started just moving around a lot in the case right here because of the clutches and stuff going out. And causing an agitation, and the two metals just started bonding themselves together. You can feel it even through here.
You almost see that gray look, you know, when the two grays or metal aluminums start rubbing
Yeah.
together.
See, that was broke. I didn't even do that. I
Yeah.
seen that in there when it was like that. Where was I beating on it at?
Just
Oh, right
there.
here.
Yeah.
And right there, those two spots.
Wow.
So you can
So
tell
it's
they
already
put
broke.
yeah, they put that in there like that. So let's get this. Well, you might be calling this guy back and then, hey, we're not. See, we get a lot of that too. You know, people don't tell us the whole story on things, and we get these trannies in here.
There you go. Hold on. Easy. It's coming off the shaft.
Well, it's this thing's
Yeah,
wasted.
it's more than that.
Well, you guys are getting firsthand of what we go through here to save a case or save a unit, period. This tranny's going to be pretty beat up, I believe. Let's see here. This is your forward clutch here. Let's see what it looks like real quick. Got a nice steel retainer. Of course, we have some forward clutches beyond recognition.
What's left?
What's left? Now you want to definitely go in here and make sure this drum ain't wore out, because these bushings are bad about going out, and this drum rubbing on the shaft right here. Right here, Trent.
Yes, sir.
So you want to make sure that's not wore out through there. If it does, you'll have a delay in forward after something You put it back together, boarding the forward clutch up or something, so you want to look at all that. And we got the old third gear clutch, the high reverse clutch is what we call it. It's going to be burned up too, because that's why we couldn't get it out early. I would think it would be. That's crazy, it's not, I'm shocked. It does have a wave in it. Now you got to remember, anytime you take this wave out of your third gear, you're going to firm it up reverse like crazy on this tranny. So anytime you cause third gear to shift firmer, you're going to affect reverse. So remember that. So same here, you want to look at your Sprag assembly. Make sure your drum's good and all that type of stuff. Now, this does have a double wrap ring right here, if I can get it off. Get off there. There we go. If you notice, it comes off in a spiral. Turn. Let me turn back right. You got to get that little latch right there lined up to that spot. See it? And you kind of grab and pull it right on out. But see how that's a spiral coming off there? These things are bad about the early design, the snap ring opening up and coming off, and that's why they went to this right here. So, I'm going to look at your Sprag assembly, make sure your race is good. Make sure your drum is good. It's got the nice 34 element Sprag. Come in here and look for any chatter marks. All around here. Looks really nice. Some Scotch-Brite. Put a new Sprag in this thing, and that area is in good shape. So, get down to your engine braking band. Most of these don't ever get used unless they're a child or something out having a good weekend.
What, did you used to be one of them childs?
I didn't have a 480E back when I was a child.
Okay, yeah. Let me step back. Yeah, they didn't carry those at the time.
Now we do have our 4-clutch intermediate here. If you notice, they did add a wave down here. Got some little teeth on it, kind of locks in that piston to center itself. So the firmer you make second gear shift, the harder it is on this Sprag. Always remember that. So I can make this tranny shift so hard with this wave and won't break the Sprag. And I can make this tranny shift so hard without this wave and break that Sprag. So remember that. You have your bevel snap ring just like in a 400. Your round always goes out, your flat goes in. Don't get them mixed up with this one. I get them in here all the time where these have been swapped. So back to our center support here. Has a solid Teflon or the hard rings on it we don't like to use. This is your cooler line circuit for your tube. It comes in the side of the case, goes right into that hole just like that. So if you leave it out, it's only going to reach to right there and it's going to fall in the pan, and all your gears in the back of your tranny is going to melt to the ground. Always check for wear here, chatter marks, because this is where your lower Sprag runs. On a rear lube 4L80E, this bushing right here, if you put a solid bushing in here, you're going to burn the gears out of it because they use these grooves in these bushings for a lube circuit. If you take and put an early cooler, front cooler line bushing in here, you're going to burn the tranny up. So you better remember that if you're ever playing with these. Same way this one here. Those are lube circuits. They're not just bushings. Get down here, you always have this little thin snap ring that goes against this center support like that down in the case. Got your reverse band. Looks pretty good. We're starting to see a little bit of wear on the tips. All these bands will come in with wear on the tips and stuff like that. Just get new ones and put them in there. Don't even mess around with them. Now we do have a rear planetary that's got a counter on it right here. Some of these, if they don't have a rear speed sensor on it, they won't have that counter on it. So you want to look here too. Some of these lower Sprags have legs on them. And when they have legs, they just set on the bottom here. If they don't have a leg, then they'll have a ring down here in the bottom of this planet that this planet sets against. So you do not want to put a no leg in this one right here, because the Sprag is going to set at the bottom. It'll work, but how long? You'll find out if you do it. So just remember, if it's got a leg, it does not take the spacer down here on the bottom. Same way with this sun gear right here. You see these 4 notches in this sun gear? You see there's 2 notches here. Rear lube, front lube. If you put this in here, this tranny will burn up because you just blocked off the lube circuit, just like those bushings. So remember that. Now the early 480Es with the front cooler lines, it had this style. The rear cooler line went to the 4. If you get back in here to this rear planet, we also run into lubrication circuits that you need to look at too, because they changed it up back here too. The planet they did not change. They changed this bearing right here. They put these 3 tabs, 1, 2, 3. Well, 400 or an early 480E, that's a solid round washer. If you put a solid round washer in there, you plug up that hole. That is your lube circuit hole that goes back and lubricates this bushing back here in the back of this output shaft. If you put an early design, I'll go grab one just to show you. Look here. This is a 400 and an early design 480E. Late design rear lube only. If you put that round one in there like that, you just plugged off all them holes. And now this bushing in the back of this and this bearing is going to go toast. So
put that other one in there, show them how it opens or keeps the holes open, at least one of them.
No matter how you spin this, there's 2 holes. See them holes? Always one's open. That one's plugged, that one's open. That one's open, that one's plugged. That one's open, that, see? It just goes around clockwork.
Yep.
But it always keeps oil going to this bushing and bearing back here in the back.
Nice.
So you got to remember that. So got your thrust washer back here. We don't upgrade these to the roller bearing style unless we're doing something really crazy like our power tour car that we did or something like that. 400 race car tranny, we'll do it or something like that. But this old tranny needs some attention. We'll get this thing back together, some all new clutches and stuff like that, and get this thing all straightened out and get him a nice unit back in his car. So if y'all need anything, give us a holler. Precision Transmissions, y'all have a great day.